Banksia Foundation does a great job in encouraging people to look into various aspects, how to improve or what could improve the environment or the impact which our life has on the environment. And as the founder, the inventor of the automobile rather, we have always considered ourselves responsible for bringing this product further, and the biggest challenge we are dealing with at this time is indeed reducing the impact our products, our manufacturing facilities, processes have on the environment. And we are investing a lot of money into those specific areas, but we are very well aware that this is only part of the total impact our lives have on the environment. And consequently, we are happy to have found this platform encouraging people who are working in totally different areas to employ their creativity, their effort, their enthusiasm, and encourage those people, going forward and maybe contributing with their efforts to break through and find big solutions which have tangible impact on the environment. Before I explain more about the details of those things, I would suggest we just listen to the recipients and past winners and let them explain what they did and enjoy the enthusiasm they are showing to look into these areas and conduct their work.
No, winning the Mercedes-Benz Environmental Research Award was a tremendous accolade for the activities that we'd undertaken at University of New South Wales in climate research. We've been looking at the way Australia's rainfall has changed in the last 30 or 40 years. We've been looking at drought cycles and how the drought cycles are determined by ocean conditions. So it was a big accolade for us and a reward for many years of hard work.
In 2009, I won the Mercedes-Benz Australian Environmental Research Award for developing new techniques and new technologies to predict the interaction of nanoparticles in the environment.
To win the Mercedes Environmental Research Award was a great acknowledgement by companies that we have to be responsible for raw materials of the planet. The car companies utilize a lot of products that after a while they have to be recycled. Take as an example of a tire. Only 15% of the rubber is worn off of a tire and then becomes an old tire, and then we throw it away. So the bulk of the tire actually is the waste. And what we worked hard is how to recycle and take out the raw materials from the tire and make some value-added products, giving a life cycle, extending the life cycle of a tire for another period of time.
We like to believe that the impact of this award is pretty much what we intended to do when we first started. We know that all the environment, all the research which needs to be done in order to find answers to those questions requires a huge amount of money. And in regard to that money, the amount which we can contribute for those areas might look small, but I think for each of the recipients, the amount of money is very significant.
Things have changed enormously since winning the award for my research. Firstly, I've been able to set up a magnificent home office. Travelling 2 hours to and from work every day to sit at a desk is unnecessary, and so this way I can reduce my carbon footprint, which I think is great. And it's also helped me attract and support new research collaborations.
The importance of getting the Mercedes grant was tremendous because, as I mentioned earlier, if a company, a serious company like Mercedes, been in business for a long time, takes notice of environmental issues and supports research in environmental businesses, then other companies will be responsible and will take more actions to be part of this research and funding research.
These awards and how they impact on your research, what it means is you've got an accolade that others recognise, so that when we go for research grants and we're trying to talk up the successes we've had, if we can cite an award such as the Mercedes-Benz Award, it gives us extra credibility amongst our community. It gives the assessors of the grants a sense of the impact we've had, and it might mean that we can secure more research funds for further research.
having already established some of the great new techniques and following on from some research on titanium dioxide, which is a photocatalyst used in things like water filtration systems, I'll be applying these techniques in the future to look at fuel catalysts, the kind of nanoparticles used in catalytic converters to increase efficiency, and trying to understand how they interact with the environment when they're emitted through exhausts.
The impact of the research we undertake is basically through to the farming sector and all of rural Australia, where they're trying to better understand how the rainfall season will be in the coming year. And so what we do is try to better understand the ocean precursors to their rainfall extremes. So for example, in southwest West Australia, we discovered a pattern of ocean temperature that characterises their wet years and a pattern that conversely characterises their dry years. And this pattern emerges a couple of months before the rainy season. And so what our research is about is giving the farming sector that extra lead-in time for their rainfall prediction so that they can better plan for cropping, and it's tying the ocean circulation patterns through to the rainfall that any part of Australia receives.
From the tyres, the recycling tyres, we make rubber, clean steel and fibre, and the rubber can be used for making any other type of rubber products, including a solid tyre that is comparable to rubber made from virgin rubber. So I have a methodology to re-vulcanize without any additives the rubber that we're extracting from tyres to make rubber products. This way we're extending the life cycle of a tyre. Other products that we make is from each passenger tyre we make 3.5 liters of oil and diesel. And we can use that oil and diesel to run the whole plant. So you have a facility where you recycle 5 million tyres. You can extract enough energy to run the plant.
Next 5 years, I've got a major project that's just been funded to understand the risks that ocean warming is posing to the planet, and particularly to Australia. The short story is that as greenhouse gases trap heat in the planet, our oceans are absorbing a vast quantity of that heat. In fact, about 90% of the heat that we've trapped so far has been absorbed by the oceans. That's a great thing because it reduces the scale of climate change we would have otherwise seen. The problem is that this is going to change our oceans. It changes their circulation, it changes how much heat is available for things like tropical cyclones, it's going to change ecosystems, it's going to change how much the oceans absorb carbon dioxide. And so there's a whole heap of risks that it poses. We can be thankful for the oceans for taking up this heat, but there are going to be changes downstream, and we need to better understand what those changes are, how it's going to affect Australian climate and weather and rainfall. So that's my next 5 years.
Our next project is a floating dam which collects stormwater from the cities, and on a worldwide basis we have shortage of drinking water, and this way we have a methodology to collect the stormwater from the cities where most of the rain falls, and as the collection and the storage system floats in the ocean, we have a large platform where we can establish solar energy, wind energy, wave energy generation as well. So we create a clean energy, a green energy farm that cleans the water, pumps the water, and actually generates more electricity that you can send back to the grid. Yes, very optimistic, because it's hard to convince governments and people what to do, but once companies see profitable enterprises that they can establish, then the customer will come on board, because they see that a little bit of incentives, a little bit of extra cost will be beneficial for future generations.
In terms of the future, I'm optimistic and also a bit pessimistic. I'm optimistic because I see a whole suite of brilliant technologists, innovators and researchers who are driving new technologies in low carbon cars, in low carbon energy generation, electricity generation, in techniques to sequester carbon from the ocean with biochar and so on. There's a whole heap of research going on, And I've got a lot of confidence in the scientific community in terms of delivering new solutions to the problem. The reason I'm pessimistic is this climate challenge we're facing is at a scale that's unprecedented. Our economy is heavily reliant on carbon technologies, on fossil fuels, and our emissions are rapidly rising as economies grow around the planet. We've got to do a U-turn there, and we need serious solutions in a very short amount of time. And that means these innovators out there and these research leaders need to deliver in a fraction of the time that they're used to delivering on. So we need massive investment in the solutions to climate change. We understand the problem enough to know that this investment's needed. And with this investment, I'm hoping downstream we'll have the solutions to bring low carbon technologies and eventually zero emissions, zero net emissions, in the next 50 to 60 years.
This entire package or this entire area of reducing the footprint which a company like Daimler and our activities has on the environment could very easily be perceived as a marketing gig. I'm personally very convinced that this is the way we have to go. As much as previous generations working for Daimler, all the way back to our founders, were always very convinced that, and driven by personal goals and personal visions. Not by chance, Daimler is known for the statement, the best or nothing. And you don't get there unless you are really driven by it. Personally, I think I'm convinced that we have to do something. We cannot continue living the way we are. And the challenge is to do this without jeopardizing the values which we are also striving for from the past. Safety, performance, reliability, and comfort. So that's the real challenge, how we bring those together. What I like about this is that we are looking here at tangible issues. We are not talking about philosophies which then turn into dogmas. We are talking about very tangible issues. And I also think that we as a manufacturer, one of the leading manufacturers, we have a role a little bit to, I wouldn't say maybe teach the world is a little too strong, but do a little bit of coaching and explain to people how can we work together, we as a manufacturer and they as a user, to reduce the impact which the manufacturing and the usage of cars has on the environment in a constructive fashion, still achieving the entire package of things. And when I look at my 13-year-old son, it is interesting and, if you like, in a way encouraging to see that there is a change to be brought about. He is very fascinated when I'm coming home with a car which has any of these modern technologies. Yes, he does like the SLS and he does like the 12-cylinder engine, but what really gives him a kick are these new technologies, and that's the issue, and that's actually fun to add this to the whole thing. So last but not least, it is also good to see, or hopefully we can not only promote and help those people doing research in those different areas with a little bit of money, but we can help them to gain recognition for their activities, being able to link their work with the world-famous brand Mercedes-Benz, which stands for quality, I think, fun and fascination as much as for responsibility. So, yes, it is not only a marketing gig, it is definitely something myself and many other colleagues in our organization are driven by personal convictions.